If one thinks about the ASLA as the conductor of an orchestra, we as practitioners are perhaps the composers.
Through its 100-year history, ASLA stands for, the profession that represents the importance of public open space, and that every community has a town green. Central Park represented the founding of the profession.
There were two women, two prominent women, Beatrice Farrand and Marion Coffin, who were both part of the founding group of the organization.
The Great Lawn is one of the kind of quintessential Central Park landscapes, and it's not an Olmstedian landscape. It was originally a masonry reservoir, and ASLA promulgated a plan.
Moses certainly had his particular style that came out of Gilmore Clark and Rappuano.
You'd go through the old flat file drawers and see these beautiful ink on linen drawings of Battery Park, Robert Moses State Park, the UN, Jones Beach, Bryant Park, Riverside Park. An endless array of what you think of the great landscapes of New York were generated by that firm of Clark and Rappuanos.
The early playgrounds in this city looked like machines. You were let loose in this environment, and you had the choice of going up the stairs, down the slide, or you could go up the stairs and down the slide. And we created an environment where the slide became part of it, and you could access it from 360 degrees or not. The getting there was as important as the being there. I began to watch kids, and I realized that it's not the playground that's important, it's play.
Our major effort was in the children's zoo, and everybody wanted to make that a very different place. It requires that level of storytelling imagination that I think the best children's landscapes have.
By the latter part of the 1960s, well into the 1970s, there was a serious decline in the state of public parks, basically at the verge of being almost completely lost. And there was a number of different kind of citizen-led groups that advocated for the importance of public space across the city, which ultimately led to the foundation of the Central Park Conservancy.
Not just Central Park Conservancy or the Prospect Park Alliance, but there's such things as Madison Square Alliance. The most recent one, of course, is the High Line. Everyone wants to talk about the High Line, and or Governor's Island, quite frankly, because there's a Governor's Island Trust.
The Battery Parks Conservancy, Brooklyn Bridge Park, there's the Hudson River Park, Riverside Park.
Paley Park, another one. Private money.
Union Square, I see school groups here. I see tourists here. I mean, it's like people come here and it's like they're in Paris.
Fixing up parks always is good for a local economy.
We're at the crossroads. We're in this really challenging time right now because we need these ecological solutions to address climate change. And when you start to put gardens on the street that absorb stormwater and you start to reconfigure the shoreline in a way that can prevent surge from coming into the city, those landscapes have to be maintained. They're not just pretty gardens, they're actually working, they're actually infrastructure.
Hurricane Sandy really tested us, and the ASLA responded, and our firm responded. We have participated in HUD's Rebuild by Design competition. We studied all of the aspects, all of the layers that went into what happened so that we could try to think about ways of helping to mitigate that effect in the future.
The most rewarding thing for me is you meet some really incredible people and you really get a collaboration.
The chapter does a much better job of that now because of the diversity of programs and the experiences and the socialization and the educational programs that the chapter provides. The chapter's really done a great job in the last decade growing into that. And I see that even more now that it gets better and better every year. It has better leadership, it has executive directors, it has funding, which allows us to provide more services for our members. It allows this chapter to grow academically, socially, intellectually. It allows us to interface with other design professionals, and I think that's of great value.
ASLA has so many events that bring everybody together, and everybody just talks with everybody, and it's really wonderful.
One of the great joys of being a landscape architect is this is not a profession of what you do, it's who you are. You're not going to work, it's really who you are. You're a landscape architect, and that starts in your soul.
We are the ones who are the stewards of the environment.
The notion of stewardship is something that I think has been very much part of the ASLA for decades. If indeed we want to move beyond private funding of public parkland and public open space, stewardship is essential. And that, I think, comes through education. And that is something that I think ASLA has done and can perhaps do more. If we could begin to get this notion of stewardship embedded in our school system, this, I think, is really going to be a critical way that we can ensure that our public landscapes are protected.